Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is David Breeze. I'm the Managing Director of BPH Energy. I'm going to speak about our investee companies, Advent Energy, Clean Hydrogen Technologies, and Cortical Dynamics Limited. My primary focus will be on Advent Energy Limited. Australia is in the midst of a gas supply and energy crisis, with significant increase in costs to both domestic and manufacturing sectors. In the ACCC Gas Inquiry Report released in June 25, there was a shortfall potentially in the near term, the next 2 years, but certainly out by 2027 through to 37, there is a real risk of a 200 petajoule per annum shortfall. I'll give you context for that. That's around twice the amount of gas that is used in New South Wales by all domestic and manufacturing parties. So you really do need to get, as the ACCC has said, new sources of supply, and they need to be brought to the market in a timely manner. And in the absence of new sources, you're going to have structural shortfalls, and they consider it critical to gas market efficiency and long-term energy security that underlying impediments to the development of domestic supply are addressed. I'm going to give you further context to that. The Chief Executive of AEMO has most recently warned of blackout risks and as a result of the energy supply issues that we are facing in the east coast of Australia in particular. And what he said was that households and businesses could face a full day without power in the event of a major system-wide blackout because investments in grid stabilising technologies is not keeping pace with the closure of coal-fired power plants. And what you have is an increasing penetration of renewable, and that's increasing the risk that we won't be able to restart the grid after a Spain and Portugal-like blackout issue. So we need new sources of supply and we need new technologies, and that includes gas-fired power. Again, further to highlight this issue, in 2016, there were just 6 manual interventions to maintain a secure grid. By 2020, that had reached 321 manual interventions by AEMO as the energy market operator. And in 2024, that had grown to 1,800, almost 5 every day. In other words, with 4 million solar installations in rooftops across Australia and the addition of 21 gigawatts of generation, you have, with a peak demand of 36 gigawatts, the capacity for significant interruptions and issues, and that's what's causing these interventions that are occurring. You saw, in fact, in 2022 that AEMO had to seize control of the entire East Coast energy system to maintain stability and prevent blackouts right across the system. So AEMO have said yet again, gas alongside batteries and pumped hydro will enable a higher renewable contribution and support reliability as coal-fired power stations retire. And gas-fired power stations are going to play an active role in that system security. So when we look at what Energy Quest had to say in 2024, they said we've got to develop a plan B to head off a looming gas shortfall because the hope that the market will be able to bolster supplies is not working. and they referenced the structural deficit forecast out in 2028 through to 2037, and stated at that time that shortfalls of gas will heighten the threat of unreliable electricity supplies, while heavy industries that rely on the fuel source and cannot switch to renewable sources could be shuttered. I'll give you context to that. In the last 2 months, what we have seen is the smelting and refinery base metals processes in Queensland, New South Wales, Tasmania, Victoria, and South Australia all indicate that they may have to close down unless they're able to change their operating characteristics. And of course, we have the manufacturers of aluminium, nickel, manganese, lithium, and copper are critical for Australia's renewable energy future. And we've now got smelters at breaking point and seeking multi-billion-dollar subsidies in order to maintain their operations. Again, in context, in Victoria, you've had Sorbent, Sealy, Oceana Glass, and Qenos shut their operations as a result of either gas shortfalls or energy costs. In New South Wales and in Queensland, you've had closures of Incitec Pivot, which is fertiliser, Qenos again in New South Wales, Molycop in New South Wales, Opal in Victoria, and Indorama in Indorama in New South Wales. And so you're actually seeing thousands of jobs lost across Australia as a result of both gas shortage, gas price, and energy prices. Why is that relevant to our Advent Energy? We have a project offshore Sydney. It's a proven hydrocarbon basin with excellent potential for further discovery of natural gas and a significant multi-TCF natural gas prospective resources. In fact, it has a prospective resource of 5.7 TCF in structural targets. I'll put that in context. The Bass Strait offshore Victoria has produced around 8 TCF of gas over the last 60 years and supplied 40% of the East Coast network demand requirements in gas. And that's in the middle of a 50% reduction in output, and that's going to occur within the next few years. So we have a current application to the Federal Court to enable us to be able to proceed with the drilling of the Baleen prospect. And we're 26 kilometres from the coastal pipeline network at just south of Newcastle. In New South Wales, you have 300,000 jobs rely on gas supply, and it supplies around 1.3 million households and 33,000 businesses, with the manufacturing sector, which is about 84% of the state's industrial gas loads, adds 33 billion in industry value. And as the New South Wales Business Chamber said, without addressing New South Wales' looming gas shortfall, these could be at risk. And New South Wales now supplies no gas from any sources at all. In addition to that, this project that we have in Advent could in fact become a carbon storage area as well. I'll give you reasons again why this basin is so important. The bulk of the supply now is going to come from Queensland, but during the winter months and sometime at different times, the pipeline there from Queensland down to the southern states runs at 108% or thereabouts of its design capacity. In other words, it can't, in peak times, take any more gas. And that's why the importance of PEP11 and the other project that is in central and northern New South Wales, the Santos project, is so relevant to the future of gas supply in New South Wales and the southern states. So I'm going to now just give you a couple of highlights of the basin. Independent reports done by Geoscience Australia, is the federal government's resource body, and the New South Wales government resource department has also said that the basin, that is the Sydney Basin, where our project PEP11 is, contains an active petroleum system. It's considered gas prone. It has all of the essential geological elements of source, reservoir and seal, and reservoirs with sufficient porosity, permeability and volume for potential gas production exist. So important independent verification of the gas-prone nature of the PEP11 area. And that was also shown in the studies by Amplilex, which said that all of the late Permian coal measures being in the gas model is the way in which they looked at that process. If you look at the North Sea, you'll see that, in fact, whilst the Le Mans sandstone areas were discovered in 1966, and they have an 11 TCF prospective recoverable map by 2010, they sit at a similar age in terms of geology, with a similar porosity and permeability, and have produced quite consistently over the last decade or more. I'll move now just to wrap up and talk about clean hydrogen technologies and cortical dynamics. Clean hydrogen is a method to produce from natural gas, so therefore it's called a turquoise production methodology. From $2 worth of natural gas, we make both hydrogen and carbon nanotubes worth $175. So the reason for that is that we have a process that doesn't burn natural gas. We split it into the hydrogen and carbon nanotubes. CO2 is not emitted in that process, and instead the carbon is turned into a valuable carbon nanotubes, and they have increased wear properties, as well as significant electrical conductivity and other industrial properties that make it a valuable byproduct, in fact, a much more valuable byproduct than the hydrogen. One more slide and I'll conclude. Cortical dynamics, we have, through BPH Energy, around a 17% interest. It is medical technology designed to assist the anaesthetist during the anaesthetic process to keep the patient optimally anaesthetized. It monitors the EEG of the brain during the operation, and it's designed to help avoid or mitigate negative intraoperative and postoperative impacts from under or overdosing. In addition, we've developed an AI-based healthcare platform named Cordian, which uses a predictive algorithm for healthcare system and hospital usage. And that, for instance, can be used to predict ICU length of stay and neurological deterioration. So we have within our suite of investments different areas that can produce significant value accretion to the shareholders of BPH Energy. Thank you for your time.